Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Brent Builds Online. Today we're going to be talking about a cool AI tech for controlling your computer. It's called Open Interpreter. So I finally got it all set up on my machine here. And as you can see, I'm here in my terminal. I'm using the Hyper.js terminal emulator, which has a whole bunch of cool plugins that you can add onto it to get it to look this way and get it to look all cool how you like if you're into that sort of thing. We're going to get started here. I'm going to just activate my virtual environment where I have this kind of set up and a little bit isolated. I'll explain more about that in a second here. But we are just going to not switch back to that view. We're going to switch over here to this one. And we're going to say conda activate open interpreter. Now, you notice that it changes my little message here from base to open interpreter. That means that the virtual environment is active. So we're going to type interpreter. Now, you can't just type that into your machine. You have to go through the setup process, which I'll do another video on how I set that up later on. But we're going to run the interpreter now. And a new version is available, so that's cool. That is brand new message, just popped up now. So we're using GPT for 0.5, I think. Open AI key. Oh, now it wants me to insert. Okay, this was working just a second ago. Hang on, guys. Okay, and we're back after entering the API key here. I was incorrect earlier. I do believe that it was using GPT-4 Turbo the whole time. Not exactly sure. Regardless, I'm just going to run a command real quick here to show you guys what's going to happen. I'm going to tell Open Interpreter to create a new folder on the desktop called chickens. Take any PSD files from the desktop and put them in here. Now I just use chickens as a random. First word that came to mind, it usually is. We're going to run that, and you're going to see it's going to ask me if I would like to run the code. Now, if you don't want to tell it every single time to run the code or not, if you just want to assume that the answer is going to be yes, you can run Open Interpreter with a flag -y. When you run it, will always assume that the answer is going to be yes. So for now, I'm just going to put yes. And you can see up here in the top right corner of my screen, it actually created the chickens directory, and now it wants to move all of the files over to that. So let's go check and make sure that it did that. Now you guys can't see it here on my screen, but I actually do have 4 monitors, and I realize that is a little bit overkill for most people. But on my top monitor, above the one that you're looking at, I have a bunch of other files that are all messy and all strewn about. So it's going to take, hopefully, all of those PSD files, and yes, we can see that it has moved them into that directory. So that's pretty awesome. Now, just to test this out a little bit more, let's see if it can handle this. Put those files back on the desktop and remove the chickens directory. Yep, it did remember. It's trying to remove all the PSD files from the folder, which we will run that, and they're gone. You saw them just disappear over here. And now it wants to remove the directory, so we will say yes. And now that directory has been removed. So that is just a small sample of what Open Interpreter can do. And I'm going to try a few more experiments with it to really try to push it to the limit. Okay, so I think one thing that I want to actually actually have some practical application, is I'm going to try to get it to watch a file or watch a folder rather, for the addition of new files, and then alert me if there is a new file added to that. So let's just give that a shot real quick. So make a new directory on the desktop, call it watch folder, and yes. All right, so it's created, so it's letting you know I've done that. Now we're going to say, let's just say watch the watch folder that you just created for any new files. If there is a new file added, alert the user. Let's give that a shot. I was just going to tell you what it's going to do. Would you like to run this code? While true, do. Now you need to be a little bit careful here, because already I have gotten into some trouble with some pre-testing that I did before I started making this video. And some of this stuff, it will run and run and run. And sometimes Open Interpreter does tend to get stuck in a little bit of a loop, especially if your prompt is not exactly correct or it's not set up well. And that's going to run up your, if you're using the GPT, the OpenAI API, that's going to run up your bill a little bit. So you want to be careful about that. And also, additionally, you want to be careful about, if you'd use the -y flag to always run code, as I mentioned earlier, be aware that if you leave that running like all night, you don't want to do that, because that's going to get very expensive, especially if you don't have any limits set in place on OpenAI. I am going to go ahead and run this code to see if it will work. Okay, it wrote a shell script. Start the script. Yes, I do want to run the code. Now, this is what I got before. See, output truncated, showing. I'm not exactly sure what the error is here. Command not found. Now, it could be, I have a feeling that it has to do something with, I'm going to quit that right now. I think that it has to do something with the fact that this is a bash script, I think, .sh. And I am using Z shell, which ends in .zsh. Let's convert the watch folder script.sh to zsh. Yes? Oh my goodness, that was worse. It like totally glitched out. It did a whole bunch of stuff, and that might have cost quite a bit of money. So let's just stop that right now. This seems to, oops, whoops, messing up. All right. Okay, so let's just stop that right there, and let's try something else, because clearly that was a fail. I've noticed in my testing that when it comes to watching folders for changes, it doesn't really do very well right there. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to take a look at this and make sure it's still empty. What else can we do with Open Interpreter? Let's try something new. All right, so I've got my calendar open here. I just got rid of that shell script that it was trying to write. and it looks like it didn't even really do it right. So whatever. Okay, we're gonna give it another shot here. I'm just going to tell it to, I've created this OI calendar. Add an event. Oh my goodness. Okay, the one thing about Hyper.js though is that you have to click it like a million times before it registers that you're trying to type into it again. So we're just going to tell it create a new event on my OI calendar. If you have more than one calendar, you have to specify which calendar to use, otherwise it'll get confused. And call it Jake's Party and set it for 8:00 p.m. this Friday. And let's try to add some notes to it because the calendar event supports additional notes. And be sure to note that I need to dress in 80s attire. Let's see if it can handle that. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So it did this last night. Add it to my Apple calendar, you stupid thing. How embarrassing. Okay, there we go. Now it's going to try to do something. Would you like to run this code? Yes, I would. Okay, it recognized that it messed up. Syntax error. It's trying. Yes, let's run that again. This is so embarrassing because this was working smoothly last night. It didn't even ask me for, it didn't even give me that junk about, I can't interact with external calendars. It knew what I was talking about and it added it right away. So I think maybe something about the way I named the calendar, like OI, maybe that's part of the problem, but we'll go ahead and execute this code. Still getting syntax error. Now at this point, I think that is 3 strikes, which means you're out. So I am going to not let it do anymore because I don't want to spend any more money on this. I'm going to just try to prompt it a different way. So in my Apple calendar, add the, in my Apple OI calendar, add the event for Friday. Let's just see if I don't say this Friday, maybe Friday the 30th. December 30th. Oh wait, set month to, I don't know. Let's see what it does here. Okay, it says Jake's Party has been successfully added. So it did remember that from before, so that's good. Okay, dress in 80s attire. Now, did it really do it for Friday? Why did it take me to December? Now, see, it messed up. Now, that's no good. So, I don't know. Definitely got to be playing around with this a little bit more. My problem with AI in general is that these things are supposed to be solutions to problems. And they're sold to us as like ways of making our life so much better. We heard a whole bunch of hype and rhetoric about when things were coming out, were rolling out like, oh, this is going to replace developers, this is going to replace your job. Not anytime soon is it going to replace your job. It still struggles a lot, and The same is true with code. It's getting better. You know, like there's a new software out called Cursor Composer, which looks pretty cool, and I've seen a lot of people online hyping it up. However, it is just another IDE or another program for writing code, and although it does have integrated special AI capabilities, you do have to pay for it. So it's not free. It's another thing that they're going to charge you for. I know you guys have had similar experiences where it's like AI is supposed to make my life easier and reduce the amount of headaches that I have, but that has not always been the case. In fact, there's been so many times where you need somebody who knows exactly what they're doing with AI, somebody who has a lot of experience with prompts, prompt engineering, stuff like that. I'm not sure why it added it to Saturday the 30th of December. I'm going to delete that event and just show you guys what I'm doing here. Let's delete that event. I'm going to try this one more time. You added that event to the wrong day. I want you to add the event to this coming Friday. It's no good if you can't rely on it, right? So like I said last night in my tests I was doing before making this video, it seemed good, and I was very excited to show you guys. But now, of course, that you're watching and that I'm recording, it's not behaving itself. Oh, we might be in luck. Okay, this upcoming Friday at 8 p.m. Hey, look at that. It got it. On the third attempt, it got it. Must dress in 80s attire. Okay, cool. So maybe it just needs a little bit of playing around with, but generally speaking, if you cannot trust it, if you can't rely on it to get it right the first time, you cannot create larger workflows that involve these AI systems. Because at any step in the process, at any step along the way, if it gets something wrong, chances are downstream from that, everything is going to be messed up. Imagine if I had not double checked the date, right? If I was relying on this for something significant, let's say an important business meeting or something like that, and it put the wrong date in, then you're cooked. I mean, you might miss something very critical, or it could mess up your entire file system. You know, it could delete some files by accident, it can move stuff around. So be extra careful when you're playing with this type of AI and experimenting with it, try to get it to work. Try to create isolated environments, test environments so that things are safe. But I never quite trust it. And maybe you should also exercise a little bit of caution when it comes to relying on AI. I feel like it's just not quite there yet. I am hopeful that it will be very soon. But for now, that's going to be it for this video. So if you guys like this video, give me a like, give me a comment, and let me know if you didn't like it, what I can do to improve. Please subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate that. And we'll see you guys on the next video.